Hi guys, and welcome back to another fly tying tutorial. What you see in the vise is a competition legal booby. So without further ado, let's get into it. The hook in the vise then is a Hanak H200 barbless hook. This one's at size 10, it's finished in black nickel and it's on a heavy wire. The thread I'm going to be using today is from Semperfi. It's the classic waxed thread at 12/0 in white. Now I have already waxed the thread to save a little bit of time. So I'm just going to cast on in behind the eye here, and I'm going to use my rat's tail as a guide to lay down my bed of thread. Now it's not going to be long before the lock style season is upon us, and I've got a couple of friendly matches quite early doors, and this pattern is really designed for that. It's a spring pattern that works particularly well. So first thing I'm going to do is attach my tail, and what I'm using is some marabou here. It's a white, it's called lunar UV white, but unfortunately you can't get this particular marabou anymore, as the lad that used to dye it is no longer producing, or he's certainly no longer producing to sell, which is a shame. If you want some good marabou, I can thoroughly recommend Dave Downey's, but no sooner has he got it dyed already and it's sold. It's very popular stuff, but it's probably because it is the best. So I've just eased off some of the loose fibres at the front here, and I'm going to catch my tail, not all the way along the shank of the hook, but up towards the thorax area if I was tying a nymph. So I'll bring that all the way back and get one more turn. I'm going to come underneath the tail with a couple of turns, and that just keeps it slightly lifted. Now, as I said, it is for a friendly competition, but nonetheless we are fishing to international lock style rules, so I'm going to trim that tail to make sure that the fly does fit in the competition gauge. Now, before I do anything else, I'm just going to catch a little bit of saliva onto my fingers and damp that down. It just keeps everything out the way. Now, for the body of this fly, I'm going to be using mirror tinsel, and this is Mirage Iris. Now, to make this pop, I'm going to first of all coat the shank with some plumber's tape here. It really does make a difference. It might seem like an extra faff, but it does make the body pop, and hopefully you'll be able to see that on the camera. I think sometimes the camera doesn't quite pick up the level of detail that the human eye can, certainly. So I've tied in my body there, and what I've done is I've prepared a little bit of the plumber's tape. It is very malleable, so you don't need to be overly worried about the width of the strip you've caught. It is basically just to get that solid white down on the body. So I'll just wrap this up. I do still enjoy the little edge there is to competition fishing. I'm not as fanatical about it as I used to be, but it does really, I do believe that it helps improve your angling. Competition fishing, you learn so much, you get to meet lots of new people while you're doing it, and it certainly is worth supporting. If you're on your fly fishing journey and you want to improve, there's no better way than joining a local club and getting involved in competition fishing. So I've got that bed of white down, and I'm now going to bring my body material up. And already, just with one turn there, I can see it's really popping on the body. I don't want to get the overlaps too much, and I'll bring that all the way to the front. And that really is glimmering there in the light. I just hope that the camera is picking it up. So I've trapped in my body material here at the thorax, and I'm going to just trim away my excess material. So far so good. Let's just, it's not long drying out the tail, so just damp it down again. Now the next thing I want to do, and it's not quite what I wanted to do actually, but after spending 20 minutes rummaging through my box of frits, this is as close to what I wanted as I could find. What I really wanted was a deeper shade of orange, but I'm probably just being a bit pedantic. I don't think it will make that much difference. So what I've got here is a little bit of Straggle frits. Sadly I've lost the packet, so I couldn't tell you where it come from, but it's very old. A lot of the stuff I have in my frits box kind of has been there since 19 Oatcake, when I started tying, or when frits certainly became popular. So I've caught that in. Now I don't want very much of it, so I'm going to try and get 2 turns, and then I'll just cast it off. So I'll bring that over, turn and a half actually, might be even better, just to keep it nice and small in the thorax area. Now I'm using this sunburst orange. As I say, I wanted something a little bit darker, but just didn't have it in my box. That's not to say that other colours won't work. I think this would work particularly well with a green Straggle frits, if you like. So it's looking like a hot mess at the minute, but it's going to come good. Stay with me, stay with me. Now again, I'm damping down my fingers. I'm going to get everything slicking back the way it should, out the way. And the next thing I want to do is bring in my wing. Again, I'm going to come back to my plume of marabou here, and I'll just take off that little bit at the bottom. And I don't want particularly a lot, so I'm going from the thumbnail to the thumb knuckle. And if you have some kind of measurement like that, it will keep your flies consistent. It's not something I really worry about. I see a lot of guys, and I'm very envious, that tie their flies and they're like peas in a pod, and it's amazing. But I can do it, but it does take me a long time. I'm more than content to have flies that look pretty much as they should. So I'll just come in and catch that wing. See a bit of the straggles crept forward there. Just try and pull that round. Now, those that have watched the channel before, you'll know that I'm a huge fan of the nano silks, and usually I would have just battered on and tied this fly with nano silk, but it's bad practice. Nano silk's extremely strong, and if you're not careful, you will cut through your phone tube. So I thought I should practice what I preach, and that's why I'm using thread today. I have my little dumbbell eye here. Now, if you're not sure how I got to this stage, in the top corner here I'll put a link to how I create my booby eyes. Now, before I address that up to the thread here, I'm just going to damp down again the wing of the fly, and then I can come in with my thread. Now, I want to try and get it in the middle, and that's not the middle, so let's have another go, and there we go. Getting nice even booby eyes does help the fly to swim properly. Now, because I'm using 12/0, it is still quite thin. It's nice and thin, and I can get plenty of wraps to hold that into place. So I'll secure it in a figure of 8 motion. Excuse my fingers while I just do the next one. And then I'm going to finish up at the front. If it's not sitting right, don't be afraid to come back and do another figure of 8 until you get it sitting exactly how you want it. So that's looking pretty good. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is whip finish. I'll just pull the booby eyes out the way, and then I can get several turns in, and I'm not going to be tempted to just snap that away. Come in with the scissors, and there we go. Now, I'm not done yet. I'm going to just, again, get everything damped down. You don't want this this nice marabou wing, or your straggle for that matter, getting clogged up with super glue. And that's what we're going to do next. So if I do this, it's moving around quite a bit. So what I always do is I use some super glue, and the first thing is to get it between the eyes like so, and then I'll turn it upside down and I'll just come in where my thread wraps have attached the booby eyes, and always try and get some super glue just either side of the shank. And what it does is it just makes the fly last that little bit longer, and that makes a difference to me, because if I can catch all my fish on one fly, that's fantastic news. So there we go. How would I fish it? I would fish this on its own as a single fly, or certainly as part of a washing line setup on the point or the top dropper with a couple of darker cormorants or dialbacks in between. I hope that's been of some use to you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.